Peace. What's good, YouTube? It's Kareem Samdi back again with another video. So today is another part of the sexual alchemy series, and we're going to be getting into NoFap and semen retention and why these two things are important for your development on your spiritual journey for the males. All right. So for the men, NoFap is very important, and the reason why I say that is because obviously when you watch porn, you are limiting your idea of sex. You are limiting your idea of intimacy because porn limits sex to just being very fast, very quick. It's all about an orgasm, but it's not necessarily about intimacy. So the more you reinforce this, the more you begin to rely on porn as a habit, the more you lose that idea of intimacy. You lose that idea of connection, the connection that you can get with a woman. And NoFap applies for women too, because there are women that are addicted to porn, right? And I'm speaking to people who do have an issue with it. But personally, I feel like over time, if you're experimenting with porn, that's different. But I feel like over time, many people should just let it go. And the reason why is because the connection and the intimacy that you can get meeting people organically rather than going through technology, but meeting people organically, the connection that you can get will raise your vibration. The connections that you make, they will be more authentic, right? So when you watch too much porn as a man, what you begin to do is you begin to forget what connection feels like. You begin to block your sacral chakra because all that energy, all that sexual energy is getting stuck in the sacral chakra and it's not being able to rise. You're not really balanced in the way that you approach things. So we have to be cognizant of really what we're using porn for and why we're using it in the first place. I'm not saying whether porn is good or bad, but what I am saying in my own experience is that letting go of it really helped me along my journey. It might help you. If it doesn't help you, if you really enjoy it, then you can stick with it. Personally, if it brings you light. But if it brings you suffering, or if you feel like you're dependent on it, and you can be dependent on porn in many different ways. If you are dependent on porn, here's ways that you can know that you are dependent on porn. If you can't sleep without watching it, you're dependent on it. If you have to watch it more than once a day, you're dependent on it. If you can't go without it, you're dependent on it. There's so many telltale signs. If you do it in risky places, knowing that there might be consequences for watching it, you're dependent on it. If you gotta hide it, from other people, right? If you feel shameful, which is also something that can block your sacral chakra as well. If you feel shameful about expressing that part of yourself, you're dependent on it. And if you're hiding it every day. See, those are some examples of how you can be dependent on it, right? See, what we want to do is in this time in this matrix really, and in this time within the matrix, we are lacking connection on both sides. For women, many women are lacking the connection with the divine masculine, and for men, we are lacking the connection with the divine feminine. So you can't connect to the divine feminine through porn. You can only connect to the divine feminine by first connecting with it through yourself and discovering that part of yourself organically, then connecting with women who possess more divine feminine energy. That's how you do it, and that's how you make those connections. You learn more about intimacy and you grow in different ways when you allow yourself to experience a partner, right? See, a lot of men have picked up archetypes in porn, limiting women to just archetypes, to just the way that they appear. And many women have done this as well. There's a lot of archetypes that are being placed on men. We already have enough labels that are separating us, so we don't really need to be objectifying other people. What we should do is we should be seeing people for who and what they are, and seeing the type of lessons and the type of journeys and whatever people possess in their own universe, bringing it together and unifying ourselves. You can't do that with porn. Porn doesn't offer that connection. It's a cheap experience that by engaging in it overactively, by engaging in it too much, you begin to lose parts of yourself that already have it within. You already have the sexual experience within on 7 different levels and more through your chakras. You already have all that within you. You don't need to go through technology to get that. You already possess it within, right? A lot of these mental illnesses that men are coming up with, or a lot of these physical ailments, erectile dysfunction, a low testosterone count, and another thing was low sperm count, right? A lot of these things they didn't exist before porn became such a heavily used thing. So we have to really take that into account, right? Yes, you do produce a lot of sperm every day, but we have to be cognizant of how we're using our sexual energy, because your sexual energy, every time you spill your seed, you are creating something. I promise you that. So you can either create more lust for yourself and focus more on that energy, and if you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. But every time you do release, you are creating something. That is what you do as a man. Your semen is fire, and through fire we can create, we can purify. One drop of semen can create billions of people. It can populate an entire country. So you have to be cognizant where you're putting that energy, where you're putting that focus. Every time you release, whether it's through sex or whether it's through porn, you are creating something. And so a lot of us are creating a dependency, and we're creating more lust for ourselves. That's the entity, that's the child that you are creating to reinforce that every single time, and it becomes an addiction over time. And you created it to serve you, but you created it unconsciously to serve you. So be aware of how you're using your sexual energy. Be aware of where you're placing your seed, because that's very important. There's a reason why they talked about, in many scriptures, they talked about the importance of the male sexual energy. The female sexual energy is very important too, but we're not getting into that in this video, right? So don't cheapen your perception of sex through porn. If you do want to look at it, you can, but obviously, if you can't balance it within yourself, then there's a problem. And I find that a lot of men, it becomes too addictive to actually balance that out. So it's better left gone. If you could choose, what would you choose? What if it had to do with either watching porn every night or engaging with a new woman every night? Someone who can bring something to you and connect with you. Would you choose porn or would you choose intimacy? That's a different thing, right? Everybody would choose intimacy over porn unless they have a mental illness, right? In my opinion, I would choose intimacy over porn any day. So if we can get to that point, that's something that we definitely need as men in this time, right? We need more connection. We need more intimacy, because this world is devoid of love. That's why it's disintegrating. It's devoid of love because the matrix was never created in order to sustain itself. Love and light can only sustain things, but the matrix doesn't have it. Love and light exist beyond this realm because the matrix is low vibrational. The matrix is only meant to serve lessons for you. So if you want to get out of the matrix, you have to engage more in love, and you have to raise that light within you. That's how you do it. And I talk about exactly how to do that in my chakra series, so go check that out. And I want to get into semen retention too, because I touched on that before. Every time you release your seed, you are creating something. So you have to be aware of what you're creating, your intention. Even when you release your seed through sex, you are still creating something. So you can have sex mindfully and with a goal rather than just having it for lust. But you can also have it with lust too, because lust is okay when it's balanced. You can have it, you can engage with a woman, and it can still be healthy if you have a healthy lust for her, right? And she's a healthy person for you. So we get a lot of our anxieties, we get a lot of our emotional disorders because we cheapen our sexual energy. We're not really ready to connect. We have a sacral issue. Many men have a sacral issue because porn has brought them down and made their sacral chakra overactive. Too much sexual energy, too much sexual focus in the lower chakras. You have to balance that out, and you balance that out by learning how to let go. You don't need porn. I promise you that. I've been practicing NoFap and semen retention for 2 years, and it's changed my life. It's changed my connection with the women in my life. It's changed every part about me. And so I know if it works for me, it might work for a lot of other people. That's why a lot of men are coming out talking about this, because it's a serious issue. The women that you really want, the women that that are the best for you, you would have the confidence to approach that woman if you weren't watching porn. I promise you that. This is very key, because you always have that confidence, but porn reinforces your laziness. It reinforces not taking action to get things that you want, right? To get people that you want, to connect with people. And that limits the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra is all about connection, it's all about action, and it's all about intimacy. But if you don't have that, and you're cheapening your experiences through porn, you are limiting yourself. You're limiting your ability to connect. And ultimately, if you can't connect, you can't develop love. So you're also blocking your heart chakra too. So we have to be aware of that at this time, because it'll help you a lot. So to get in touch with that God energy within you, practice NoFap, practice semen retention. And semen retention is very key. The more sexual energy that you begin to raise within you and cultivate and be cognizant of where you use your seed, how you use your seed, right? The more sexual energy that you raise within you, and the more light that you raise within you, right? For me, semen retention, I did semen retention for at least, I think, 80 days straight. And during that time, I had my spiritual awakening. So, and it may be the same for you, it may be different from you. Some people could do NoFap and semen retention and not feel any results. It just depends on who you are. But personally, for me, semen retention has worked. NoFap has worked. I feel stronger. I feel a lot better compared to when I was using porn regularly. When I was feeling my seed, unconsciously regularly. You can have fun with people, right? You can do those things with people. You don't have to attach to things, or you don't have to practice things that you hate, right? Or things that don't work for you. I'm not telling you to do that. What I am telling you to do is find what does work for you. This is just nothing more than a suggestion because it's worked for me. NoFap and semen retention are very valuable for men at this point in time, because there is a conscious agenda being pushed through porn, and also being pushed to cheapen sex in general, to limit sex to nothing more than just an orgasm exchange, but not really a connection. There are agendas to be pushed against that are being pushed on that, and that limits our consciousness, that limits our ability to connect with each other, right? There is an agenda behind porn and why it is the way that it is. It's free for a reason, because there's agendas behind it. So learn about that. I'll speak about that on this channel too. If you knew me back when I was Red Reams, this is all I talked about. But I am going to make a separate series just dealing with the male sexual energy. And as I learn more about how the female sexual energy works, I'll also touch on that too, because obviously we have to talk about both sides of the Godhead, the divine masculine and divine feminine, right? So just be aware, be conscious of really how often you use porn. Start to recognize, are you dependent on it? Really question yourself, and look into semen retention. All right, you want to get Montauk Chia's book, Cultivating Male Sexual Energy, The Taoist Secrets. That's a really good book. It teaches you all about semen retention and how it actually benefits you. Tells you different things that you may have never known about when it comes to how men operate. The male sexual energy. And he also made a female sexual energy book too. So check that out if you're a woman too. Because obviously it's important for women to cultivate their sexual energy too. So check that shit out too. So that's the video for today. If you enjoyed the content, let me know. I hope it motivated you guys, and I hope it inspired you guys to really, take a deep look at yourselves and really see, what's going on within, because that's key right now. Connecting is key right now. Love is key right now. Intimacy is key right now. That's what's going to bring us out the matrix, love and light. Peace.